This is Sue going live in Facebook and our Friends of the Framework special group. And today's topic is about what if you've got a lot of things to improve and you don't know how to prioritize or put that down into a manageable list. So anyway, that's obviously a common problem, that there's more to do, more things to work on than there is time to do it. So how do we narrow that focus? This really comes to mind to me right now, like it's really top of mind because we're doing a lot of work with our partners right now to set goals for 2019 for the organization or departments or for their transformational journeys. The teams are working on their plans and what they want to work on in this next year. And as well, I've been working to get ready for a few events of strategic planning with boards and executive teams in the new year. So, all this prioritizing kind of thing comes to mind when you're doing any of those things. There's really a shift, a mind shift that we recommend, or kind of a guideline that we recommend that can apply to whether you're setting goals for the organization, your team, your department, or your strategies. There's this mindset that we can use to help us decide how do we look at everything and pick those sweet things out that are going to give us the most benefit if we make improvement in them. So this has been really top of mind, and a lot of time being spent on this in our partner organizations, and also the work that we do with them. So really, and it also applies to, I would say, even life. I mean, what I'm going to share with you right now, I think you could even apply it to maybe your health or fitness goals, or career goals and personal things as well. So the concept here, and if you're partners of ours and you're not hearing this for the first time, is this concept that good is the enemy of great. So when we're looking at the huge list of things that could be improved in an organization or an individual department or division, we really look and assess with an eye at what's already good. We're not looking for what's terribly broken. So we need to change our mindset about what's broken and put into that category of improvement opportunities things that are really not terribly broken, but are already good, because those may actually be the very things that allow us to make the biggest impact in our organizations in the next year. And that might seem like a whole different shift for you, right? That, usually you think, what's screaming at you the most, what's the worst, what's terrible, and that's going to get all your time and energy. So I'll give a specific example. We've been looking at a lot of data recently, whether it's employee survey data or patient satisfaction data. Again, we're working to help create, strategize the plans for partner organizations, and with that comes assessing data. So a lot of the data is coming in right now to help plan for next year. So when I'm looking at data and trying to pick out of the data, where do we focus our improvement efforts? What's the data telling us? Looking at through that lens of what's already good, you can pick out different things that might not be the things that would normally pop out at you as being the things that you should improve. So an example with that is if I'm looking at patient satisfaction data, you can look at the responses that you get from your patients, and they have choices of how to respond. Maybe it's very poor, fair, good, great, or very good. So usually there's a 5-point scale, and it's something like that. It could be very dissatisfied to very satisfied, but usually it's a scale like that. Well, when you're looking at that data, sometimes what you want to do is just look at the mean score or the overall score and pick the lowest score, right? But I would encourage you to look at that specific response, and most vendors provide data that show you by specific question how many people rated you very poor, how many rated you poor, how many rated you fair, how many rated you good, how many rated you great. And instead of looking at the lowest score overall or the highest number of very poors, look at the lowest number of great and next to that, the highest number of good. Okay? So that's a different mindset. Look for the lowest number of great versus the highest number of poor. Okay? And when you look at that, what you'll see is that there is a huge opportunity to move the good, which is usually a big number, to great, which is a small number. So if you see that in your data, this is applying that mindset, is good is the enemy of great, is apply the mindset that good is usually a huge number. Great is not. And that's your biggest opportunity. Okay, that's your biggest opportunity. Now, if you have several of those opportunities when you look there and you see a whole bunch of, elements where there's a huge number of good and a very low number of great, then you've got to prioritize. And often what you do then is you think of alignment. What are the things that are most aligned to where the organization needs improvement? So then you can prioritize in alignment. So look at those opportunities to move from good to great. And then from there, if there's many of them, then think, what are the key strategies of the organization this year? Which one of these opportunities aligns best with that? Okay. So why would we, recommend this approach? And it is the key approach that we use to strategize for organizations. It's a different approach, right? But why would we choose this approach? Well, there's several reasons, and I want to pop into a few of those. One is that you don't have as far to go to make the improvement, right? So if you're moving something from good to great, the solutions that you need, the activity that you need to create to move that from good to great is usually a way different amount of energy and resource than if something's very poor and you want to move it to great, right? Or even from very poor to fair can take a huge amount of effort, right? So when you take something that's good and you plan to elevate it to great, bump it up a notch, then it doesn't take as much resource to do that. And you get a bigger impact for more people. Because if you look at those numbers, very few people are rating you poor or very poor. Very few people. Even if you're overall average in your results, or even on the lower end, below average, you will find that even overall, not a lot of people are rating you poor or very poor. If you're average or hovering around average results, it's probably because a lot of people are rating you good and not great, okay? And then also when you bump something up from good to great, and again, it takes less resource to do that. When you bump it up from good to great, behavior changes. For instance, if it's a patient satisfaction, a patient experience issue, when you bump it up from good to great, your patient's behavior will change, right? When something is good, the normal human response to something being good is that you may or may not use it again. You may or may not talk positively about it. You may or may not recommend it to others. It doesn't even have to be poor for that to happen, right? If it's just good, normal human response to something that's good is a may or may not. We want loyal, committed employees, patients, etc. So when we want to do that and create that loyalty, that comes from offering something that's great. Not good, but great, okay? So when we bump something up to great, that human behavior in response to that is, I will go there. If I need care there, I will go there. If my family needs care there, I will take them there, right? I will recommend it to my friends and family, and I will talk positively about it to others. So that is how you create a loyal and raving patient base, right? Is to give them a great experience, okay? So now this can apply as well to big strategies. So for instance, I was on site with an organization recently, and the CEO was sharing the update to their strategic plan for 2019. So we were working on planning for the employee-driven teams for 2019, and in start of that, the CEO is sharing the message about where the organization, what their key strategies are for the next year, so that the employee teams could really put their plans together in alignment with that, right? So while he was doing that, he was almost apologizing for the fact that their strategies for 2019 look very similar to their strategies for 2018. And that's nothing to apologize for, because what he was really communicating, which is a powerful strategy, is they had taken things that were good last year. Let's say it's a service line that's already good, and they were working on making it better. They weren't starting a new service line. They were taking a service line that already existed, and they were doing things to make it better in 2018. So they were bumping it up from good to great. Well, they hadn't reached great yet, right? And so instead of moving on to the next thing, they were holding the course. They were saying, it's still good. You know, it's better than it was, but it's not great yet. And let's take it to that whole new level next year and move it to greatness. So that's nothing to apologize. Staying the course and taking things that are already good and seeing them through to greatness is a great strategy. You don't need to keep adding and adding huge priorities to your list when you have things that are already good, and you just need to leverage those by bumping them up from good to great. So it's a new mindset, right? This good to great is a new mindset. There's great reason to do it. I'm looking here to see if I missed any of my talking points that I wanted to make sure I covered. And no, I guess that really is the main message I wanted to relay today is that there's a new lens to look through when you're picking what should we improve. Last week I talked about maybe narrowing the focus a little bit and how many things can you improve. I'll just remind you of that here if you missed that, is, really when we prioritize, less is more. So maybe, 3 to 7 things prioritize at the organizational level, and at a department level or team level, maybe 2 or 3. And look through the lens of good to great, and then look through the lens of what aligns most with those top strategic priorities. So thank you all for your time today. I hope it's a great day. I hope you're sipping on some coffee or some tea to start your day and enjoying a great start to your day. Make it a great one.